Hello and welcome back to our discussion of how to use your D&D Beyond character sheet. Last time, we discussed the system of combat, including initiative, AC, and where to find the various features and traits of your character. Our topic this time is spellcasting. If your character has any spells available, they will be available in their respective tab, next to actions. This tab sorts spells by level and lists some of the important information about them. Many spellcasters have a fixed selection of spells that they know in their mind. However, other spellcasters have a process of preparing these known spells, which can be performed once every long rest. To do this, you can click on the portrait at the top of your sheet, followed by selecting Manage, Character, and Levels. In the new menu that appears, click Spells. This process will be different depending on what caster class you are, but for my 7th level wizard, I can open the tab titled Spellbook and prepare a number of spells equal to my intelligence modifier plus my wizard class level. Spells come in all varieties, but their relative power is typically measured by their level, which ranges from 0 to 9. Another more common name for spells of level 0 is cantrips, which are rudimentary spells a caster can cast at will. Other spells, those from level 1 to 9, can only be casted a limited number of times per day, based on your character's available spell slots, which serve as fuel for the spell. Spells can also be upcast, which refers to the fact that any spell of a lower level can always be cast by a higher level spell slot. However, a spell of a higher level cannot be cast with a spell of a lower level. You'll notice that D&D Beyond lists several spells in the list of higher level spells on your sheet. This is because of the fact that some spells improve at these higher levels. These improvements can be anything from dealing additional damage to targeting additional creatures. Bear in mind that you can always cast a lower level spell with a higher level spell, but only certain spells get additional benefits for this. Cantrips can also improve, but rather than by increasing the spell slot, their improvements are based on your total level irrespective of your class. These often improve at your 5th, 11th, and 17th levels, as is the case with Firebolt. The list of spells which benefit from upcasting can be a convenient reminder for newer players, but I sometimes find it looks a little busy. You can turn off this effect by clicking your character portrait, followed by selecting character settings and disabling the feature Show Level Scaled Spells. Some of your spells may have a special feature, the ritual tag, as indicated by the small r next to the name of the spell. You can also sort by these spells in D&D Beyond. Spells with this feature can be cast without using a spell slot by spending an extra 10 minutes to cast the spell. Casting the best spell to respond to a scenario is a combination of factors, including its effects, casting time, range, components, and its duration. Fortunately, clicking on the name of any spell you can cast will give you this information. Clicking Cast next to a spell's name will automatically use a spell slot of that spell's default level. You can also manually check a spell slot of a higher level if you want to upcast. Alternatively, clicking the name of any spell lets you select any spell slot available that you can use for the spell. Clicking Cast this way will also automatically check off a spell slot of the level that you chose. Most typically, casting a spell will take one action. However, some spells can be casted with a bonus action, as a reaction or casted over long periods of time. Knowing when a spell can be cast will influence when and how you make use of it. Bear in mind that a round of combat is roughly 6 seconds, so any spell with a longer casting time will be ineffectual. Even a spell that takes 1 minute to cast would take 10 rounds, which is longer than most combats will run for. You should also know that characters can only ever cast one leveled spell in a turn, so if a character casts a bonus action spell, they will be unable to cast any spell other than cantrips for the remainder of their turn. When you cast a spell, the target must be within the spell's range, which is typically measured in feet, and for many spells the target will be a creature, whereas for spells like Fireball, the target will be a point in space from which that ball of fire erupts. For spells like these with an area of effect, short-named AoE spells, a second number will be listed next to their range, along with a shape. So Fireball can create a 20-foot sphere of effect, centered on a point anywhere within 150 feet of you. Spells with an area of effect will have one of 5 potential spell shapes, from the selection of a line, cone, cube, sphere, or cylinder. The point of origin for most of these shapes is a point in space, However, some shapes originate from the caster themselves. These are often the line or cone shapes, such as in the spells Burning Hands or Lightning Bolt. Some spells will not have an indicated range in feet, but rather a range of touch or self. Spells with a range of touch can often reach targets within 5 feet. Spells with a range of self can, self-explanatorily, only be cast on yourself. The next piece of important information for any spell is its respective components. These are verbal, somatic, and material, as indicated by V, S, and M under the components section in the description of the spell. Verbal components are the combination of sounds necessary to produce a spell. Thus, if a character is unable to speak, they cannot cast a spell with this component. Somatic components are the hand gestures of spellcasting. If a spell requires somatic components and a spellcaster does not have access to a free hand, they cannot cast the spell. Material components are the specific ingredients necessary to produce a spell. A character can use an arcane focus in place of any components that do not have a material cost. If the materials do have a cost, they must be provided. Components are consumed only if specifically stated in the spell's description, and must be provided for each casting. Spells also have a set duration, which determines how long their effects can last. For many spells, their duration is instantaneous, which means that they occur instantly without any persistent effects beyond those caused when they are cast. Other spells are measured in minutes, hours, days, or even years. These spells' effects will persist until the duration ends or they are dispelled. Knowing these durations can dramatically improve a spell's effectiveness, as is the case with a spell like Mage Armor. Mage Armor has a stated duration of 8 hours, which typically means that a character can cast the spell once and have it last them an entire day. An efficient solution for the caster concerned for their health and safety. An important factor in many spells' durations is concentration. Any spell with a concentration tag will indicate this feature with a C next to their name. These spells have a maximum duration, which will last so long as the caster can maintain their concentration on the spell. A caster's concentration can be broken in several ways. First, a caster can only maintain concentration on one spell at a time, so casting another concentration spell will end the effects of their first concentration spell. Second, a caster who takes damage will be forced to make a Constitution saving throw. The DC of this saving throw equals 10 or half of the damage that the caster takes, whichever is higher. Separate instances of damage require you to make a separate saving throw for each source of damage. Just a little hint about this. This makes the Magic Missile spell an excellent counter for concentration spells, as each of its 3 missiles trigger this saving throw. Finally, if a caster dies or is incapacitated, they lose concentration. Depending on your DM, this may also extend to certain environmental effects such as harsh weather. Now you have an introduction to the various components that make up a spell, and it's time to determine when and if you can cast a spell. We have already discussed some factors, such as the area of effect, the duration, and the functions of concentration. In addition to these factors are the considerations of the spell type, be it a roll to hit or a roll to save, and the interaction of combined magical effects. Spells can typically be broken into 2 distinct types, roll-to-hit spells and roll-to-save spells, which function in 2 distinctly useful ways. Roll-to-hit spells function by you, the caster, making a spell attack roll against a target, much like you would with a weapon. Compare your attack roll with their AC to see whether your attack hits. Roll-to-save spells work by forcing your target to roll a saving throw. The saving throw they roll is based on the spell's description, but dexterity is probably the most common. The creature you target rolls their saving throw and compares it with your spell save DC. You can find both your spell attack modifier and your spell save DC on the spells tab of your character sheet. Your spell save DC and spell attack modifier are determined by a combination of your spellcasting modifier and your proficiency. Your spell attack modifier is equal to your proficiency bonus and your spell casting modifier, while your spell save DC is equal to 8 plus your proficiency and spell casting modifier. Your spell casting modifier is determined by your class and broken down as such: charisma, wisdom, and intelligence-based casters. This explains why my wizard with an intelligence of 16 has a +6 spell attack modifier and a spell save DC of 14. Remember that sometimes roll to hit or roll to save spells will be more effective situationally. For instance, if a target has a high AC, a spell that forces a saving throw may be better than an attack roll. Humanoid targets in heavy armor typically have a low dex score and a high AC. Hit them with a fireball, and their 18 AC is irrelevant and they are likely to fail their save. Conversely, a target with no armor may be more easily hit than they would be to fail a save. Often spells that force a saving throw will also still have an effect on the target, even if they succeed their saving throw, while a spell attack will simply miss and have no effect. Particularly at low levels, this makes attack spells very high risk. One final caveat that may help determine when and if you should cast a spell is the interaction between magical effects in D&D. Most importantly, the effects of the same spell cast multiple times do not combine. For example, if Bless was casted twice on the same target, that character would only gain the benefit once. They would not get to roll 2 bonus dice. Some features are more intuitive than others in D&D Beyond, particularly when it comes to spellcasting. To end this video, I will discuss a few cases of note. Mage Armor is, understandably, one of the most popular spells for casters, who often do not have armor proficiencies. This spell increases your base AC to 13, while letting you add your full dexterity modifier to your AC total. However, when you cast Mage Armor in D&D Beyond, the spell slot is removed while your AC remains unchanged. To fix this, click on your AC, click Customize, and add an additional magic bonus of 3. This will simulate the effects that Mage Armor would normally create. If you would prefer to do some more upfront work to make a more convenient method for yourself, you can create a homebrew item called Mage Armor. Add the item to your sheet, and whenever Mage Armor is active, tick the box to equip it. Finally, some spells or class features let you assume beast shapes or summon fiends to aid you in your journey. If you move to the Extras tab in your character sheet and click Manage Extras, you can choose from a selection of potential categories, including familiars and wild shapes. Select the creature type followed by typing a creature name into the box below, such as a cat for my wizard. Click Add, and you can review the features of the creature, such as the cat's keen sense of smell, which gives it advantage on perception checks and is perfect for scouting. This is keenly useful, in particular for druids, who often have to keep track of a number of standard forms that they use for scouting or combat. With that, you now have a basic introduction to spellcasting and the functions of concentration. I may return in future to discuss specific classes, overlooked features, and ways to maximize the benefits of your character. But for now, use this to your advantage, roll well, and I'm done here.